Welcome guys back to the channel. To be honest, I didn't want to make this video because we are very overwhelmed with work, but this one is going to be interesting and an interesting story as well. So it's going to be about the car behind me, Mazda 6. This is, by the way, is owned by the owner from brand new, and he does his oil changes every 10,000 miles. So we will see if that is enough, or you should get it changed a little bit earlier or more frequently than that. But without further ado, let me switch the camera and tell you more about this car, why it will be interesting and what is wrong with it. But you very likely can also already know from the title of this video. So if we step closer, what we can see here: EGR cooler bypass valve disconnected. If I remove the beauty cover, I can see EGR disconnected. So now let me jump into the cabin and show you the live data and tell a little bit more about the car. So guys, the story is the following. The owner reached out to me like maybe month and a half ago. However, he took the car, as you can see from the title, to an alleged DPF doctor, and what he has done, to be honest, these kind of things gets our blood boiling, and it's an absolute dickhead move. So because the customer had the DPF light on, the guy altered the software and very likely cut the DPF open or drilled a hole on it. Don't know how much that was, but I would say around 300-400 pounds. But he ended up causing him like another 2,000 pounds expense. If the things would be gotten done properly, I'll explain you that in a bit why. But now let me first switch the camera and show you the problems, and also on the scan to what I can notice, and we can go from there. So the car has 90,000 miles on the clock. I scanned it for fault codes. As you can see, no DTCs found, no fault codes found, even though the connectors are disconnected, which should have triggered a fault code. Obviously the software is altered, so it won't show a fault code. It is extremely difficult then for us to work on these kind of cars because we don't know what has been deleted from it, what fault codes are not showing, etc. But now let me show you the live data. What I want to show, I've already checked the guys. Let me turn on the car. I already checked the oil pressure. I'm not sure at the moment the temperature of the engine oil. 85. If I test it, the oil pressure is fine, so I rev it to 2000 rpm. Oil pressure is good. If I rev it, if I would be able to rev it over 3000 rpm, then the oil pressure would be fine as well. Have a look, the car doesn't rev over 3000 rpm. I'm flooring it now. It's very difficultly revving over 3000 rpm, and it is smoking like crazy because the DPF is deleted. And also have a look at the numbers. So if I give it a gas, you should see the differential pressure of exhaust gas raising normally, and it is at 0 or barely moves, and I revved it to 3000 rpm. You see the temperature sensor values 700, that is deleted. The rest of the live data values are fine. So again, now let me switch the camera and explain why that is not a good thing, to be honest. So as we always say or tell to customers, when the DPF light is on, that is the symptom. Obviously the DPF is blocked, but the DPF getting blocked, there is a reason for that. Usually it is an incomplete combustion and more particulate matter can end up in the DPFs. So for example, let's say if you have a carbon build-up and the engine doesn't get as much air as it wants or needs, extra fuel will end up in the combustion chamber, unburned fuel, and that will block the DPF as a particulate matter. It's explained in kind of nutshell, but that's what's happening. Also, exhaust camshaft can blocked the DPF as well. So this car is going to have the valve cover removed and obviously remove the intake manifold. My bet, because we've seen that before, if the car doesn't want to really go about 3000 RPM, the middle 4 intake ports will be so blocked that barely any air can get into the engine or to the combustion chamber. That will be my guess, or it is my guess. You will see that obviously on the video. And then another thing which I wanted to mention like for a long time ago, like guess how the guys do the chip tuning, the DPF tuning and all those things. You can do it if you want, I can do it if I want. Basically what you need to do to buy a device, and how that works, you can buy a license to be a master or a slave. If you are a master, that means you know what you're doing. You're doing the maps on your own. You delete, alter, whatever. But what usually happens, I would say 90% of the time, the guys who buying the devices buy a slave, a software or slave license. What that does, they just basically read the ECU, send it to someone who is a master. Then they just do like a basic general map. They don't know about the car, what's wrong with the car, why they need it. Basically the guy just sends them the map, the file. Then they delete the stuff they are asked to delete, alter it how they are asked to alter it. And then the guy who has the device or who you took your car to, then he uploads it to the ECU and boom, that's your DPF delete, that's your chip tuning, that's your whatever. So to be honest, we are not fan of these things. If you want to do these kind of things, you need to know how to do it, what you are doing, like you need to have at least like a general or basic understandings of the things. But it is not regulated. Anybody can do it, even me, even you, it doesn't matter. So yeah, but without further ado, or like without any more talking, let me remove the valve cover and the intake manifold and show you the results. Also what I wanted to say, because the owner asked me like how much it would be to replace the DPF and get it back to the original condition. Like if you want to go the OEM way, I would say around £2,000 I believe to getting the brand new DPF. There is another way, buying a DPF on eBay or not aftermarket but used ones. The problem with that, you may encounter what Peter Kennedy encountered as well. Don't know what you're going to get, and he bought for a customer already cut open DPF as well, which he had to send it back and blah blah blah. However, we have on the shelf I believe 2 DPFs. We may try that. Well, I don't know if I update the ECU, the software, if it goes back to OEM original condition or state, or if the software modification stays on it. We don't know that. You guys may actually find out from this video. I'm not sure if we're going to get that done because we are in short of time. The customer wants the car back by Saturday. Today is Tuesday. There is only me and the Ben with B, because Dan is not here for an uncertain amount of time. I'll talk about that later as well. So yeah, again, as I said, without further talking, let me finally remove that valve cover and that intake manifold. So I have removed both of the intake parts, EGR parts and the valve cover. Let me show you what I can see. That guys, the owner is lucky. The camshaft in here is not worn, and it looks like that the color of the cylinder head is quite okay. As he said, he was doing the oil changes around 10,000 miles, which seems to be fine. We still recommend that 5,000-6,000 miles period, but you can see the example of when even the 10,000 miles is fine. I'm going to further recommend him getting that, replace the sensor and cleaning the pipe. But which is more interesting, I was nearly quite right, so I would say I was right, because 1, 2, 3, 4, as I said, the 4 middle one are extremely blocked. Have a look at that. That's crazy, guys. And the funny thing, the one EGR was blocked as well, like blanked. Here is the blanking plate. There is a pipe coming in here, so from the EGR cooler that side was blanked. However, there are two EGRs, so if I can show you, that's where the EGR cooler connects all the way, coming to that pipe and back to the intake manifold. And this one, the closer one to us, is called EGR cooler bypass. Basically, it does what it says. Bypass is the cooler, and the gases enter the intake manifold from the side. I'll show you that. So basically, the principle how it works, the ECU wants the engine to get up to operating temperature the sooner. So first it bypasses the cooler and lets the warmer or more hot exhaust gases enter the intake manifold, and thus heating up the engine. Yeah, this is the intake manifold, absolutely blocked. So let me show you in here. So basically, from this port, from the main EGR with the cooler, the gases enter to the intake manifold, and here enters the bypass. This one wasn't blocked or blanked because this one is more difficult to access or get to it. This one is more easier because you can just block the EGR cooler as the guy did. However, at this point, guys, because I can see from the system that the DPF hasn't done the region like 3,500 kilometers ago, which is, I would say, roughly 2,000 miles or so. So basically the remap was done that around 2,000 miles ago, but everything is at this condition, as you can see. So it doesn't really matter if any more exhaust gases enter or not. Obviously, if they don't enter, it's better, but it didn't fix the problem at all. Now we are going to get the top put back with cleaning the injectors, replacing the injector washers and the valve cover gasket, fit back the remaining parts, and then I can start the carbon cleaning, which is going to be quite tedious and difficult on this one because this is rock solid. Yeah, and in the meanwhile, Ben has removed the engine from the CX-5. Is getting the engine replacement. The engine is here, is waiting for it. The another one which had the valve problem, so the valves were sticking. The engine is already in there, but we are waiting for the control arms to arrive so we can swap them for the brand new ones, and then I can take it for test drive and obviously let you know, guys, the outcome, if that solved the power loss issue, and also if it is still shaking during the DPF region. And again, I'm going to bring one more car in and gonna get that to the same level, check the camshaft for wear. If worn, gonna replace that, and basically going to get it to the same level where I can do the carbon cleaning on two cars at the same time.